Just do it.
So my dad owned 85 acres in Texas, and he used to lease the land out. And he had a white guy growing cotton for him on his land. And he had a very nice chuckle about it, and as did I, because like I told you guys, I'm the first generation of Matthews men that didn't pick cotton. So we got a little get back in that.
So your dad did it by choice?
No. Like I said, his grandfather would pull him out of school during harvest season to pick on the family property, on the family land.
But when he got older, and your dad owned the land, and he had a white man picking.
Yeah, this is within the last 15 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So your dad did it by choice. Your dad ended up doing it by choice.
Well, I mean, like,
which explains why you feel. It's why Marcus feels so entitled now.
I do, because I'm on the other side of the coin. We have you people working for us, and it's a beautiful experience.
You people, just
I said you people,
honkies. You mean honkies,
crackers.
And with that being said, we are now live. This is the Black Powder Podcast. I am Marcus Matthews. You're the only real libertarian. This is the only real libertarian podcast that has ever existed and will ever exist, because none can come before and none can come after. And speaking of, never mind, I was going to say something, and I'm going to leave that right there.
We're libertarian eternal.
Yeah.
This is the alpha and the omega of libertarian podcasts.
I'm glad that you added some stuff to the end of that.
Speaking of stuff, I got my guy, Eric Parker, Bold Liberty, out of North Kakalaki. Eric, how you doing this fine evening?
I'm doing great, man. Hanging in there. You know, I look forward to this podcast every week. I really do. So I've been.
As do I. This is like therapy for me, because I get to talk about issues dear to my heart and pick on people dear to my heart. And speaking of picking on people, I want to introduce the other guy that's with us tonight. My dear friend, the Florida man extraordinaire, Mr. Tubb. Tubb, how are you?
I'm well. Listen, one phone call with you in the past 2 weeks doesn't make us friends. Okay, we're not friends.
Best friends.
All right, we are co-hosts of a podcast. That's
Ebony and Ivory. It's your Paul McCartney.
You got a Stevie Wonder look going on right now.
Well, I was going to say pre-vitiligo Michael Jackson to keep it on theme with the Ebony and Ivory. But if you want to go with the Stevie Wonder and racially stereotype me here on my holiday,
you just called us crackers.
No, that was you. You guys are reading my mind. I didn't verbally say that. I was thinking it, but I did not say that. So don't put that on me.
That's a thought hate crime. Hey, but listen.
You didn't have to say it. We knew what you meant.
We knew what you were saying, you racist pig. So it's this.
Whoa.
Well, you see how we're starting this week. Listen,
dude.
So I
basically this episode. Hold on, Todd. This episode has already started off like we're reading the comment section of the Black Powder Podcast Facebook page.
Hey, call him a racist pig.
Yeah.
Call him crackers.
We should do a read mean tweets episode or something.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually would be. So I have now decided, I think that moving forward, I think I'm going to refer to you as Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil, wow.
Uncle Phil. Here's why. Because you have the qualities. But more importantly, Uncle Phil was he was that likable guy that was kind of a jerk sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But felt like he was better than other people. And you know, because his dad owned land that the white people did. So it's all kind of. So I will, moving forward, I really think I'm going with Uncle Phil.
Hey,
but also, he was an honorable judge.
Yes.
Oh, did you ever see that episode where he approached those cops and that hemmed up Will and his son?
Yeah.
He punched the cops. He went to the police station. I see him punch the cops.
He approached him. He didn't punch
him. I thought you said punch the cops. I'm like, he didn't punch no cops.
Maybe
you only wish.
Once again, stuff you were thinking does not make it reality until we say it for you, cracker.
That is true.
Do we have any topics tonight? Or are we just?
Yeah, we do. But we have to take care of some business.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by the letter G and the number 19.
Glock, we're still looking for a sponsor.
Anton, bro, we're not going to stop the Glock endorsements because Glock needs to be with the Libertarian Party because it's just like a natural
Austrian,
relationship.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And then I want to send a shout out to the Pizza Port Brewing Company for tonight's libations. This is the Ponto Session IPA. Very good. Eric, what are you partaking in?
Well, I just had to dig it out the trash can because I already finished it. But the Hazium IPA from Foothills Brewing here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Shout out to Foothills Brewing. If y'all see this, please consider giving me free beer. I don't care about these two guys.
Hey, we don't care about sponsorship for the show. Send over some beer. Hey, give me the beer.
Yeah.
What
are you drinking on?
I have a hydro flask. Like, guys, listen, this is a legit cup. Like, for real. Like, I struggled all the times I carry tea around. I'm like Uncle Si on Duck Commander, on Duck Dynasty, and I always have tea. Like, I always have tea with me. And so when I got this cup, so I'm like, I need to have a cup because I can't just carry around a bottle all the time. So look at this. Check this out. Flexible straw.
Rubber straw.
On a thermal cup. That was
legit. That a little too well. I'm kind of like, That's a lip.
Actually, so one time I was on, I don't think I was on this show. I was on one of the many podcasts that I do. And so I remember I took a sip and they thought that I was vaping.
It kind of looks like
that. It looked like that big of a vape now.
That's like
cell phones are getting smaller, but vape pens are getting bigger.
Yeah.
So I am drinking tea. So if Lipton would like to sponsor the show,
or Hydro Flask.
I use Lipton tea bags to brew my tea. So by all means, if they would like to throw some money at the show, it'd be greatly appreciated. And we will continue to hawk their wares.
Indeed.
All of these potential sponsors know we get millions of impressions every week.
Millions.
I don't know what they are.
Can we tag Hydro Flask? Because that's like, I'm down for it.
Someone tag Hydro Flask.
Real quick, I'm going to get to this comment by that Liberty lady. Are you going to the podcast Profit Free Zoom that Mark K is having next week? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Because this podcast,
I'll try.
Yeah, this podcast covers the basis for hosting, and we're in the process of. I'm working on this project to get these T-shirts readily available to you people, and us people too. So it's for all people. All T-shirts matter, and I just want to say, we'll be there.
T-shirts matter.
Yeah.
Black T-shirts.
Black T-shirts matter.
All of them matter. No, the white T-shirts matter too.
Are you wearing a Colonel Sanders T-shirt?
No, it's the succulent Chinese meal.
Oh, because it sure look like KFC.
What is that? What is succulent Chinese meal?
You don't know that video? You've never seen that video? He just recently passed away. Eating a meal, a succulent Chinese meal. I'm gonna have to send that to you. I'm sure everybody watching knows about that guy. He got arrested like in Australia, and he's like, "Get your hands off my penis." I see you know your judo well.
I remember that video. Now.
You remember that one?
Yeah. I remember the succulent Chinese meals.
Let me not write that down.
Hey Tub, real quick. This is a porcupine. Can you see it?
I cannot. Stand up.
Hold on.
There it is. Looking sharp. Get it?
Looking sharp. So
that's a perfect dad.
There's an inside Libertarian joke with Tub. Tub purchased.
I was going to mention that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll let you tell the story. I'll just talk about the shirt. I got this shirt at Big Lots, and they were like going out of business sale or whatever because they went to bankruptcy and they got bought out. But it was like $4, so I had to get it. Anyways, go ahead.
That's pretty. Like that was actually pretty legit. I like that one. I like that one. So we had gone down. What was it? Was it Liberty Con we were going to down in Miami? We went down.
Liberty Con.
And I intentionally, because it was right before, because I was on the ballot for lieutenant governor here in Florida. So I figured we're going to be down there. We're going to be doing some stuff. And so I remember I went and I specifically bought had a bunch of different things on it, but it had porcupines on it, like little porcupines. So I'm like, oh, this is pretty legit. This would be perfect for down there. So I remember we were getting ready to go. There's 6 of us, 8 of us.
Yeah,
Six
we're
of
at
us.
an Airbnb.
Yeah, we're all staying together, and we're sitting there, and I'm dressed, ready to go to the thing, and all of a sudden, Eric's wife. I don't know if we put her name out there. So Eric's
You
wife.
can,
Oh,
Caitlin.
so Caitlin is sitting there. She looks at me. She goes, "What's on that shirt?" And I started explaining to her, and I'm pointing. And she goes, "I think that's a hedgehog." She goes, "I don't think that's a porcupine." So then it turned into, "Hey, what is this?" I had to change before we went down the thing because I think it was a
You've
hedgehog.
never worn
Yeah.
that shirt.
I have not worn it. Listen, I could go put it on right now, but I think she was right. I think it was a hedgehog.
So you need to wear that shirt next episode you're on. Hopefully it's next week. I don't know, because you've been kind of hit and miss lately, and it's hurt my feelings. And
what's going on?
We have a lot of people who value your opinion, and that's why I'm so glad you were able to make it tonight, because of the subject matter. A lot of people need to hear this from a libertarian perspective, as well as a pastor, a man of faith perspective, because this is a very important topic. If you have children of age 18 or older, 18 to 34, if you have children, and even the younger ones, because this is their future that we're going to be talking about tonight. And it's what kind of if for me, this is like, what kind of America do you want? And why having another option, whether it be a libertarian or a different party, needs to be brought into the social fabric of America and the conversation, because we're getting the same thing from the duopoly. And that's one thing, there's a few things they will always agree upon, and one of them is war. And right now we're on the precipice of another conflict in the Middle East with no true end game, because regime change, it's not even a roll of the dice. It's a regime change. Foreign policy is Russian roulette. And, it's Russian roulette in a six-wheel gun, a 6-shot gun with 2 bullets in it. So you're increasing your odds when you talk about regime change. And this is for a nation state where a lot of people will use biblical references saying why we have to support this state. And so I'm going to hand this off to Tub to introduce us to the subject matter and have him, and we're going to kind of interview Tub, so to speak, from his,
Okay, all right. So let it be known that what I'm about to mention and talk about, I had no warning. This was okay. Oh, this is what we're talking about. Okay, so I want to let it be known. I have no show prep in this one. This is just hit me. Actually, so it's funny. So
I like that.
When I used to do DL's podcast, I used to do it every week, and we would have a portion every single week where he would just bring something up, just bring it up, and I had to then just start addressing it right then. So that's what I'm doing right now. So let's start with this. So I caught part of a clip with Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Did y'all see that?
I saw some of it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I only saw the 3 minutes, 4 minutes of it that they had posted.
I saw most of it.
Okay, and so I can honestly say that first he made he made him look like an idiot. Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Made Ted Cruz look like an idiot at one point, because Ted Cruz went with an assumption that he hears the stuff and just repeats it. Okay. Right. Because he was making the argument that biblically Christians have a reason to defend and protect Israel. And I have said this for a while. This isn't specific to what's going on right now. That is absolutely not true. So if we start with the real world situation right now, we have to understand that the government of Israel is different than the people of Israel. And it's certainly different than the people of the faith of Israel. Okay. So those are basically 3 different categories. You have the government. Okay. And then you have just Jewish people, Israelites there, and then you have the people of faith inside of it. They're not the same. That would be like the same thing as assuming that our government is us also. And how many of us would go, absolutely not. Do not lump me in with them. That's them. And so first off, we have to understand, I do not have to support in any way the government of Israel. Okay, now, here's the argument that they are trying to make, which is completely wrong. They try saying that, oh, it's the nation of Israel, like it mentions in the Bible. Except what you have to realize, for one thing, the nation of Israel was a people, not a landmass of where the people were. They were Semitic people. They were, go through the Bible. These people are always on the move. They're always going somewhere. And if you notice, they were God's people of Israel before they ever had, when they were slaves in Egypt, they were God's people of Israel. So Israel was not about a country. Israel was about a faith. So there's no reason that we have to look at this and go, well, wait a minute, that's Israel, the country, we have to defend them. Absolutely not. We do not, because those are two very different things. That when they're referring to them in the Bible, it is a group of people of faith. So now that makes the whole separation that everybody's getting wrong. Like, oh, we have to support them, and like I said, Ted Cruz looked like a full-on idiot inside of that, because at one point Tucker just goes, "No, dude, I'm a Christian. Just tell me what you're talking about." Yeah. And Ted had nothing. He had nothing to go with. But here's the problem. That's what's happening. Okay, so for lack of a better way to say it, uninformed people are getting stuff said to them and they just run with it. And then what they tend to do is they stay in their circles. They stay in their circles, and then they can just repeat that same thing, and nobody ever stops them like Tucker did and go, hang on. Like, you understand, like, I just made the argument against all of that in 30 seconds, a minute tops, to show biblically. Because once again, listen, they say, hey, they're our ally. Now, I would ask the question, and maybe y'all can answer this one. How are they our ally? What does Israel actually do for us? Yes, sir.
They blackmail our elected officials. That's how they're our ally.
That makes them our friends.
Well, it's amazing to me that the interview was so controversial, because, and I'm kind of tripping, I'm saying this, but Tucker Carlson was asking for facts and truth to the light.
I think I watched like 20 minutes of it, and most of it was asking questions, but you could tell he's trying to not set up Ted Cruz, but he's really trying to figure out Ted Cruz's perspective. I don't know if you noticed, like the first 20 minutes, which is really all I watched till I started dozing off, was them saying we mostly agree on a lot of this. You know what I mean? Like mostly, not everything, but mostly. You're right. Like, yep, I get it, blah, blah, blah. But and then I guess all of the part about the biblical stuff in Christianity, I haven't seen yet. So I'm going to go watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so I want to just jump into the hell and brimstone aspect of this right away, because, you know, a lot of people that are citing this as a biblical issue think this is going to bring about the coming of Jesus and the fulfillment of prophecy. First of all, I don't think mankind can fulfill a prophecy. A prophecy is handed down by the Most High. And what these people are thinking they're trying to do, it's just like there's a lot of Orthodox Jewish people that say Zionism is not in fact Judaism, and that the state of Israel is a false state because they believe only the Messiah can bring back will rebuild the second temple and bring about the state of Israel. But these Christian nationalist type think that, you know, I've heard we've been in the end times as long as I've been fully conscious as a human being, and that's going on
2 weeks now.
Yeah, 2 weeks or so. Yeah, you know, I was raised in the Southern Baptist Church. Everything and anything you did was a sin, and you're going to hell. That's what I was taught in like Sunday school at a very young age, and it was more of a control thing to keep people in line. That's what I ended up feeling. But at the end of the day, I always knew that ultimately God was love, and you go forth.
I'm stopping you right. Hold on, I'm stopping you right there. Here's why.
Why?
There is only 2 times in the Bible, and they actually are in the same couple verses, where it says that God is love. Twice. 400 times it says God is holy. And so the idea of being holy, which means also means he's just. And so we have to be cautious when we say, well, God is love. Hold on. You took one verse and you made that his whole character. And that's not true. So listen, we can
I was
always
thinking of the good deeds of Jesus and things along that line.
That's also just though. The good
that's
deeds
just.
Yeah, it is
just, and holy.
So here's, what's funny is, like, I always tell people, like, libertarians, libertarians gatekeep all the time. You're not a real one. Like, and I always tell people,
no one ever
just Marcus.
Their own.
So what's funny? Like, I don't play that game. I'm like, you know what? If we're on board with some things, I'm fine. I don't really care if you're a libertarian, and I'm not playing that game. But I do tell people I do gatekeep Christianity. Not gonna lie. Like, I will listen. Eric knows, because we've had a number of conversations and we talk. I'm like, not that dude, not that. And listen, I found out, don't mention Jelly Roll. Don't say something bad about Jelly Roll, because they will turn on you with quickness. Oh my goodness. So
I just you're talking about me. Like, I dug it tough harder than anybody.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. So when you say you don't believe that people can usher in the return of Jesus, I'm going to disagree with you, because we do see a lot of actions that Jesus talks about. He says these things will be the birth pains leading up to the return. Okay.
Right.
And all of, well, I shouldn't say all of them. A number of those things are man events, wars, stuff like that. And so I look at this stuff. And do I think this is ushering in Jesus? No, because there are a number of other things that have to happen also. We tend to pick and choose the whole, well, this is going to lead to this. This is going to, like, I'm not an end times guy, because there are guys way smart. There's a couple guys smarter than me. Okay. A couple of them. And so you have these, and you're not one of them. No. And so these end times guys, like, they'll spend their whole career 40 years studying end time stuff, and they still won't have anything definite. And they're still just arguing with another guy who has a different belief. So I don't get into that type of stuff, but I do look at it and I go, listen, can this be the things that lead up, and are people involved? Yes. But once again, we are always trying to find that thing. It's funny how all of a sudden now that Israel's involved and now we're all pro-war inside this country again, it's so funny how all of a sudden all these people know something about the Bible. Like, these people don't care about it, they don't know. And Tucker Carlson is a minimal Christian at best. At best, okay? And he made Ted Cruz look like a fool biblically.
Dude.
And so I would like people to, if you're going to talk about Bible stuff, get it right or shut up. Because the way I see it, Bible stuff is not open to opinion. It's just not. Like, we can have political arguments, and that's perfectly fine. But when you start tying in the things of faith, which is what they're trying to do, stay where you belong. And that's not it. So I would say clearly, like I've already mentioned, there's a separation. The nation of Israel is not what they're trying to make it out to be. And we have zero obligation as a country or as Christians to support what Israel's government is doing. Now, can I ask the question real quick? So Israel tends to not really do anything to us. I don't care what you know what they said. They said, well, remember back in the 90s. They started talking about that on the news the other day. Remember back in the 90s? Like, wait a minute. You didn't care about that until now. Now, here's my issue. Israel is what's called Iran tends to leave us alone. Do we cause a problem if we get involved? Do they then start going, hey, you know what, guys? We left you alone, but now we're not going to. So do us getting involved, does that make it worse and then put a target on us?
Yes. And before I hand it off to Eric, I will say this, and I think I said it last week. Every conflict and war of the 18th, 19th, and 20th century has directly led to another conflict. And to think that this would end right here is nonsensical, because it's never ending. Conflict never ends. And if you exasperate it through fear, because there is no solid evidence that Iran was moving towards making a nuclear weapon. And on top of that, the only threat to Iran really is themselves, because you can see from their Air Force, which were flying Tom Cruise F-14s, and they have F-5s. For all my aeronautics people, F-5 is a plane that was developed in the late 50s and 60s. And that's the gist. They have a few semi-modern Russian MiG-29s, 27s, but nothing that will be able to stop American-made F-15s, F-16s, and F-35s. This is not in a comparison. This is like the Dallas Cowboys playing the local high school team, the 5A high school team here in California.
So you say it'd be a good game?
No.
Oh.
It'd be a blowout.
Hey,
and as far as Christians, one more thing, Eric, and then I'll give it to you. My bad, homie. And as far as Christians go, I look for Christians who manifest Christianity. I often say calling yourself, going to church, sitting in church and calling yourself a Christian is tantamount to sitting in a garage and calling yourself a car. It's the same thing. It's how you walk. It's how you present yourself. It's how you treat your fellow man. That's Christianity to me. When all these people profess their Christianity verbally, I say they speak with a forked tongue. I want to see what you do and how you do it. That's just me personally. And as far as the Bible, I think you can philosophically debate the Bible. You cannot debate the facts in the Bible, as far as I'm concerned. Eric?
Well, I was going to ask Tub, could you restate the question, please?
Well, the question. Oh, got it. Yes, I can restate the question.
You're like,
so because I'm paying attention tonight.
Yeah.
So what I said, you see how Iran kind of doesn't bother with us. They kind of like, whatever. But if we do something, like if we get involved in this, does that put a target on us that now we're actively involved in this? And it's not just going to stop with one bunker buster.
Well, and that's my problem with this is so many people are like, oh, but Iran has been funding all of these terrorist organizations. Yeah, but how many of those other than, Al-Qaeda, and we all know the people that funded 9/11 are our allies, right? The Saudis, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even Iran. So you're mad at people, and we've been involved fighting the war on terror for people that we still actively give taxpayer money to and work with and have deals with. Iran had nothing to do with 9/11. Now, I think if we get involved, first off, and I think we can all agree with this, before there's ever another penny cent, this will never happen. But on the war, Congress should declare war before we ever get involved, right?
That's the proper way to do it.
Yeah, you're right. That's not happening. You were right. That's not happening.
That's not going to happen. But that's what us is. And I think I've become a constitutional libertarian. You know what I mean? Like, as much as we can argue about how the Constitution doesn't do what it's supposed to, I still believe in its purpose was to limit government. That was the idea of the Constitution.
Well,
really the idea of the Articles of Confederation and the Magna Carta and everything that came before the Constitution. But I still believe that the founders wanted a limited government. That's never going to happen.
That's the whole thing with the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is not a set of laws against the people of the United States. It's a set of laws against the government of the United States, and that's where we get it twisted.
Well,
but
even the different articles before the Bill of Rights, how they are supposed to build the way our government works, and you have separate, judicial, legislative, executive, and the legislative Congress is supposed to limit the tyranny from the executive branch. So whenever you get all this stuff on X and whatever, and Trump saying, I'm giving them 2 weeks, and then, they're going to regret it if they don't come to the deal table and make a deal. My problem with that is Congress should be like this, and the Supreme Court should be like unconstitutional, can't do it. And Congress should be like, sorry, we voted one way or another, whether or not we're going to go to war with Iran, whether or not we're going to spend another dime, whether or not we're going to put any boots on the ground or drop a single bomb on Iran for the sake of Israel. It should be voted on Congress. And the reason for that is, and I believe it's much easier for the people to hold their representatives accountable at the congressional level. You can vote them out. Hey, every
2 years.
Every 2 years. That's exactly why it's built that way.
Yeah.
The problem is,
I'm sorry. I want to get into this
now,
comment.
I don't know that I ever. Hold on, I never answered Tubbs' question in a roundabout way. Yes, I think it definitely puts a target on our government's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
But unless y'all should be putting the target in a not a literal way. Y'all should be putting a target on their back and holding them accountable next election season whenever they don't hold the president accountable.
Yeah.
All right,
But
go ahead. Go ahead.
Our guy Kenneth Blevins, a strong libertarian from the great state of Oklahoma, says, Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terror. If you forget all about the money that the U.S. has spent funding rebels and regime tames in foreign countries, I want to ask our viewers and you two a question. Why does the United States and Iran have so much beef? I don't think a lot of people truly understand why. Yeah.
I was going to make this point to go back earlier to the whole Israel in the Bible. When was Israel the country founded? Do y'all know? What year?
1948.
Yeah.
Yep, 1948. So the people in the Bible obviously are different than the country that was founded in 1948. You know, there's overlap if you're a believing Jewish person from the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, however that you know that part, Tub, better than me. But so when was, and this is a call back to what Marcus just said, when was the Iranian coup funded by the United States and, you know, I guess orchestrated by the United Kingdom? What year was that?
What was it? 19.
Was that the one when Reagan was president?
No,
way before.
It's way before, because that's when the United States installed the Shah of Iran.
Yeah, it was 1953.
Yeah.
53.
Yeah, so 48, Israel's created, and then 53, the U.S. funds the UK overthrowing a democratically elected Iranian government. So, I don't know, 5 years. Yeah. Coincidence.
No, I mean, because if you look at the problems that shape the world, you know, because Ukraine is a direct effect of the Cold War, which is a direct effect of World War II and World War I and the Soviet Revolution. And you look at what happened in Iran, it's a direct effect of the colonialism and conflict post-Cold War. And those Iranians kind of moving kind of like towards the Soviet Union as far as allyship, because they do share a border. And so they have to play the game. The United States and the British saw that as a threat to them. And so they acted, and they installed one of the most brutal dictators you could ever imagine that just raped and pillaged that country. And what's going to happen? I remember when we had Lily, what was her name? Lily. She ran for Congress, and
Lily Tang.
I remember telling her, everybody is going to reject the system of who they view as a oppressor. And that's why she rejected the communist government of China. And some people, like in countries in Africa, rejected the capitalist system by their European colonial masters and gravitated towards communism. It is a natural reaction to reject the system that you felt did you wrong. And the Iranians did not have a natural path to their own self-determination. And now this is the bitter fruits of bad foreign policy. And that's one of the things about libertarianism, is getting away from those bad foreign policies that you could say led to the immigration problems that are happening in the United States and Europe, are just bad foreign policy problems. Because you could look at the Monroe Doctrine in the Western Hemisphere for all of those countries from Mexico down, and you could look at foreign interventionism from the European countries in the Middle East that brought all those Syrians and Lebanese to Europe that they're really upset about them coming there and Islamifying their countries. This is what government does, and unchecked government creates more problems than it solves.
Yeah, yes. Listen, you could have scrapped all that other stuff you said in that last sentence. Would have summed it all up and we'd had no problem. All right.
Oh,
So
my bad.
I got my notes. Here we go. All right. So first off, I would say this to what Eric said. He says that if Congress declares war, that's gone. That ship has sailed. We don't have to do that anymore. They've already proven they don't care about that. They can drop bombs wherever they want. They can do whatever they want. Nobody cares anymore. Now, with that, you guys were saying, hey, all they have to do is vote these jokers out every 2 years. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Like when you're saying, if you saw me, I'm like, nope, it's not going to happen. Because here's the thing that's going on right now. First off, there's an ongoing problem with Congress, well, government as a whole, that is long before this. It'll go through this. It'll go after this. It is, my guy's okay. Your guy needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to vote out my guy because my guy's fine. Y'all need to change all what you got going on. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. So we're training our dog to be a Republican. Okay. Now I'm going to explain this out a little bit. So bear with me. So we started leaving our dog out because we used to crate the dog when we left the house. So now we've got to the point where we're like, okay, she's doing better. And so now we leave her out of the crate. But what we do is we keep the TV on for her while we go. Because that was just kind of a noise type of thing, kind of keeps her kind of settled a little bit. And so the easiest way to do it is to put on something like Fox News or something because there's no gives and highs. It just kind of stays pretty monotone throughout. So we keep Fox News on all the time for the dog. So here's what will happen. And this is what's been happening to me. So I can honestly tell you, I had gone probably at least a year without watching Fox News like at all. Like I don't care. You know, I'll read my stuff online, whatever it is, I'll do that. So it's been on. So, you know, you come in, you sit down and it's on, or I'm busy looking at other things and that's just what's on the TV. It's making noise. And here's what I'm finding. Fox News is all on board with war. Okay. They're all the way in. And so everything they're doing now is truly turned into like, I hear them talking and I go back to George W. Bush. All I hear, and they're saying everything short of the exact words of we have to fight them there so we don't fight them here. It's everything just short of that. And so here's what I'm telling you.
Mass destruction. Oh, wait. They're using that one again.
Right. So here's the issue. This is why I say, think about what I just said. People think their guy is okay. So Fox News, the news that they bury their heads in, okay, like they don't pull out to hear anything else. They hear this, and that's all they're getting in. And there's Fox News is telling them we need this. And I'm watching them. It's heavy. And I started watching some of the videos they were showing the other night, and they just happened to show, like, to be honest with you, they're in Israel. And they got a guy right there watching everything, making it all of it happen. He's like, oh my goodness, this is so bad. And every time they do that, I'm going, y'all started it. Y'all shot the first one over. You're getting what you get. But then I'm watching them play the propaganda. It's straight, and people are just missing this. They showed a lady walking by with a dog, and I'm like, that's all they have. They don't have, you know what I'm saying? They don't have like real war, not to say it that way, but they don't have like real war stuff. So they got to find any little thing that they can that plays on the feelings of people to get them on board with this. Because now they're overlooking the fact that they started. Now it's look what Iran's doing. Look what they've done. And so I look at it, I go, that's why it's absolutely not going to change, because they got Fox News on their side, and the people who watch Fox News don't question the people that they vote for. It all falls in line. So it's not going to change by voting. But let me ask this. Foreign policy is way deeper than people give it credit to. See, here's what happens. People see something like this, they go, we could just do this. Listen, foreign policy is messy. There are a lot of things that come into play that a lot of people don't think about. And if I've told people, I said, listen, if I were to be president of the United States, the thing that would scare me the most is foreign policy. Because there is a lot of stuff out there, a lot of relationships out there, a lot of things going on that if we do this, it causes a vacuum somewhere else. And then somebody else is going to fill that vacuum. So here comes my question. if we get involved, even if we just launch one bunker buster over there, okay, we wipe it out. What does that set off? Like, what happens in the world where they go, okay, what's next?
I mean, you already got to look at who are allies right now over there. And if you pulled up a map right now of Iran, and I only know this because Thomas Massey shared things like the range of their missiles, right, is from, I feel like it was like Ethiopia or somewhere in Africa, I don't know, to China. That's as far as it's going to go. But it encompassed Turkey, which is one of their allies. It encompassed obviously, Russia, India, one of their allies, China, one of their allies. Like all the people that are going to be on their side are also people that they trade with and they sell their oil to. China purchasing their oil #1. So that's why, yes, this would be a chain reaction for World War III. For all, and it's all of the people we were told. Isn't it weird? Like during the campaign season, it's so weird. All these people asked Trump and Kamala, "Who's our biggest enemy? #1 enemy? Who do we need to be worried about?" Iran never came up, not once. You don't think that the spies that Israel had that's selling us information, we're selling them information, didn't know 3 years ago what these nuclear facilities were doing? You know what I mean? Like they've known for 3 years. We've had the intelligence. Biden was president. He was in some debates before they realized he was brain dead. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, as recently as March, the United States Intelligence Committee said that Iran is not building a bomb.
Yeah.
And
Tulsi Gabbard signed a letter and she just got in office saying that they're not building a bomb. And, you know, so I made a post on X. It kind of blew up. But I was basically, you know, like saying, hey, look, a lot of the new nuclear reactors, you got to have pure uranium. What's that stuff called? Anyways, higher than 20%, which is what I'm saying. You need less than, but the new fusion reactor. Yeah, enriched. The new uranium that you have, or the new fast reactors and all that stuff, it's got to be way more pure than 20%. And also the radioactive medication for cancer treatments. That stuff is above 60%. Some of it, at least 60% is the minimum. So, and go ahead.
All right, so hang on. So you explained why Iran is not the threat that Iran we're being told they are, but you didn't answer what happens if we do. If we do get involved, what does it set off? And I know Mark, I'm gonna let Eric answer this, but Marcus, I know you're gonna chomp at this one, and you're gonna spend the next 15 minutes explaining to us. And here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna be right. Like, I hate to say that, Marcus is gonna be right. But Eric, what happens if we do?
Well, if we drop one bomb,
we'll start with that. Yes. Yeah.
All right. If we drop one bomb, our Iran's allies and everyone else in the region that is against us immediately attacks all of the bases that we still have troops in the Middle East. It's going to open up a war in the Middle East. Every troop we have within essentially missile range of Iran and the countries touching them and their allies, they're going to attack all of our troops stationed there. So I think our move right now should be get all the troops out of the Middle East, unless you're willing to go to war. And to me, that means, and we've already said this isn't going to happen, Congress declares it. Like if Congress declares it before you drop the bomb, then we're at war. And I mean, like, it sucks, but they did it the right way. But do you have a precedence for a reason to declare war right now? No, you don't. They haven't attacked the United States at all. So, but they will. I believe they will attack our troops. They won't attack any mainland or any of our territories, but they will attack our U.S. troops stationed. Currently, there's still 1,000 people in Iraq. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
there's 90 million people in Iran. I think there's like 16 million in the greater Tehran area. That's a big city, Tehran.
Yeah, because there was like what they say was like 7 or 9 million just in Tehran.
Yeah,
like it was massive.
That's like the
Yeah.
downtown. Think of like
Yep.
downtown Jacksonville, and then think of the metropolitan area, the suburbs around. I don't know what Iran looks like, but the
It's about
suburbs
two
are.
and a half times the size of Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a big
way
country.
like we couldn't beat Iraq. We couldn't beat the Taliban. We couldn't beat Al Qaeda in Afghanistan. And Iran's like what? At least double the size, probably 4 times the size of Iraq.
Iraq is roughly the same size as California. Iran is 2.5 times the size of Texas.
Yeah.
And we roughly have 15 minutes left. So Tubbs said I had 15 minutes. So I'm going to take.
You're going to take 15 minutes. I didn't say you had it. I said you're going to take it.
Well, we have 15 minutes left.
But we have to close the Marcus.
And Marcus, for the record, you don't have to agree with me. Say what you think. So if the United States drops one bomb, what happens?
I will tell you what's going to happen. Iran is going to gravitate towards Pakistan, offer them oil and other resources because they're neighbors. And Pakistan is going to provide them with the technology and the expertise to build a bomb because now they have a legitimate threat like North Korea. The United States won't go after North Korea because North Korea will use their atomic weapons on South Korea and Japan. They know damn well. And if I'm Iran, and at this point, I cannot stop Israel from attacking me. We can get a few licks in. They're doing some damage in Israel. This is not like their first go round. This time, Iran is getting some get back, but not to the scale of Israel being unimpeded in attacking what they want to attack. The only way Iran can secure its sovereignty and safety at this point with the shore force from Israel and the United States moving its forces into the region is to strategically place itself on that nuclear power list. And I fear that there's one thing that unites, because Iran is a splintered society. They want social reforms, and they fought for those, and the Iranian government has stomped the shit out of the citizens wanting social reforms. But one thing that unites them is a common enemy, which is the United States and Israel, because they present an everlasting threat to those people. And with that being said, I think once hostilities have stopped, Iran is going to move a lot of its stuff to the far eastern part, closer to Pakistan, and they're going to have a greater balance of inner cooperation with Pakistan to achieve that, because Iran already has the missile technology. Once they achieve the miniaturization of a nuclear warhead, they will have a deterrent threat to the state of Israel. And that's how, unfortunately, I think that's how peace comes about, with the actual deterrent.
So now let me take this a step further. I'll start with you, Marcus, and then we'll get to Eric. Okay. So let's say that we decide we want regime change also in Iran, and it turns into more of a hot conflict where we got some people, we got boots on the ground, if you'll say. Okay. And if it turns into that, then what comes next? Like, here, let me ask you this. Do you think that then that's when China pops off? Like get out of just the immediate range and see what else happens?
I honestly think Russia gets involved. It would take a lot of logistics for them to get.
Does China go after Taiwan?
I think China's going after Taiwan regardless. Eventually. But if the United States does put boots on the ground and does fully involve itself in Iran like it did in Iraq, that is the perfect opportunity for China to go after Taiwan, because China is developing, prior to 10 years ago, China only had a brown water fleet effectively. They could only patrol the local Chinese waters. They couldn't go much further out to sea. Now China is developing a blue water fleet and they have 2 active aircraft carriers, including one modern one and an old Soviet one. So now they can effectively attack China from all 4 directions, north, south, east, and west, with the ability, because Taiwan has always had what they call the porcupine defense, which I find ironic as to the beginning of our conversation. But that's what they were. That's what their defense was. Just have a lot of spikes and make it very difficult. The fact that China is now technically has more naval vessels than the United States Navy and can effectively blockade Taiwan, and the United States being entangled in another quagmire in the Middle East and devoting all kinds of resources. The United States has always been built on a 2-front war, but it cannot sustain a 2-front war with the possibility of Russia being involved on one of those fronts and the Chinese on the other front. That's just simply not possible. Now, altogether, NATO has more forces than Russia altogether. So now you're legitimately talking about World War III.
That's what we're, okay. Eric, did you hear the question? I know you we kind of lost your signal there for a second. So the question was, if we go for regime change and we put boots on the ground there, and then we actually start actively fighting in Iran, what happens around, not just in that area, what happens throughout the world at that point?
So because of the fact that we've been fighting a war on terror for 25 years in the Middle East and bombing and killing innocent people in Iraq and Afghanistan and Yemen, where's the spot?
Syria.
Gaddafi spot, where was that?
Libya?
Yeah, Libya. All these areas around Iran, we already have a lot of enemies. That's the problem. So look at the enemies you have there, and I get it. They might not have the technology or the Air Force, whatever. I mean, Afghanistan's got everything we left them. You know what I mean? Whatever. But like, that's the problem, is we have so many enemies already in the Middle East that, like you said, we can't fight a 17-dimensional war game. Our allies in the area are the country of Georgia, not the state of Georgia. You know what I mean? What do you got? Jordan. You got UAE. You got Kuwait, which Kuwait's the size of Jacksonville. You know what I mean? And you got Saudi Arabia. But the Saudis aren't gonna. They'll commit money. Maybe they're not gonna. They're not gonna commit.
Whose side?
Israel.
Eric, whose side would Saudi Arabia give money to?
Well, that's the problem. It's like they would give money to Iran, but they've given money and accepted money from us. You know what I mean? And military weapons. So that's what, like, it's a quagmire really for a country like Saudi Arabia.
So I had asked Marcus. I asked Marcus why you lost your signal there. I said, does that give China the opportunity to go after Taiwan because America's busy?
Well, I think it definitely does. But
it's the most opportune time for China and North Korea. Actually, both of those, it's the most opportune time for both of those countries to enact their ultimate foreign policy goals, which is to reunite the Korean Peninsula and make sure Taiwan understands it's a province of China. So this whole Iran-Israel quagmire is opening the door to more Ukraine-style wars around the world. And this is not just Asia. Well, it's all Asia. And once you think about it,
Asia and into Africa.
And then, there's African countries that have border disputes. All over Eastern Europe, there's other border disputes. Belarus is not out of the Ukraine thing. They will provide a second front on the Ukrainian war as well. And so,
it's kind of crazy thinking about how, like, there's still like a war with Russia and Ukraine going on.
Yeah, I know, we kind of forgot. We forgot all about, like, oh yeah, those guys.
Yeah, this world, and
imagine I'm looking at a map and you forget a country like Belarus exists. But imagine Belarus, just north of Ukraine, on the border of Russia, just sitting there like, man, I'm glad I'm not in Ukraine.
What y'all got going on over there?
I'm glad
Belarus
basically
has a Soviet era military, which has been proven to be a proven failure in Ukraine.
The only reason,
but they have
Russia doesn't touch their landlocked, so it's like they don't got they got minerals, you know what I mean? But they they don't have access to the Black Sea.
All right, so as we get closer to time, because our goal is to stay on clock tonight. Okay, let me ask you this: how does America get out of this clean? Realistically, don't say the libertarian thing. We're just going to mind our own business. That ship has sailed also.
Go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead, Eric. You go first.
All right. I think the best Republican answer is that Iran allows the United States to send inspectors in and dismantle their nuclear plants the way that our government sees fit. You get our Department of Energy involved. You send inspectors over. We say, look, what you're doing here is fine for medical. It's fine for, pure uranium. And then everything else you're doing here is a bit overboard. We're not going to allow it. And then there's peace negotiations. That is the best Republican answer.
Everybody knows that the United States made Ukraine give up the Soviet era nuclear weapons that they had in their possession, right?
Yeah.
And what happened to them? They got
invaded.
All
right, say it, Marcus. Say it, Marcus. Go where I think you're going. Go ahead.
I don't know. Why would Iran give up their nuclear problem under the threat of a land invasion from the United States or a commando? Because Israel can't really invade anybody. They don't have the military for that. But I'm not sure if I'm on Tubbs' level is where I'm going.
You know where I thought you were going to go?
What?
If Iran says, hey, I'll make you a deal. We will stop developing our nuclear weapons as soon as Israel gets rid of theirs. And then we have true peace in the area where nobody has this upper hand of nuclear threat.
And that is what actually needs to happen. I'm 100% in agreement with that, because ultimately, even a Republican icon like Ronald Reagan wanted deproliferation. He wanted to everybody to give up their nuclear weapons, and Republicans don't like acknowledging that fact. He was the father of getting rid of nukes, because I remember when Obama spoke about it, people were like, "Oh, to hell with that." But he was just paraphrasing Reagan and what Reagan wanted to do, because the true threat to mankind is somebody launching off a volley and then the retaliation. Even a small nuclear conflict could wipe out half the population of the earth due to radioactive downfall, whatever it's called. But
and look at the scientific libertarians. You can probably see that better than I can. Look at his comment there.
Yeah, Israel has between 90 and 400 nukes, and the rest of the Middle East has a few craters of lawn darts.
A few crates of lawn darts.
few crates of lawn darts. Yeah, I don't think they need our help. They don't. But I will say the Samson option should be looked at, and the fact that
hold on. What's the Samson option?
Is the Samson option is when Israel says they're on the brink of destruction, that they're going to nuke several places, not just Iran, but they would nuke the United States, they would nuke Russia. To the Samson option is, if we can't exist, you can't exist.
Right.
They would bring the total destruction of the world.
Okay.
And that's what's truly scary about this, because these people use bits and parts of biblical text and religious text, the Talmud and everything else, to justify the destruction of mankind. Mm-hmm. And it is not religious in any context. It is political. And it is these evil people who truly don't care about anything other than money and power. And they're willing to sacrifice a half of this whole planet. They're willing to sacrifice half or even more, depending on the exchange, to justify the ends to the means. So that's nuts to me.
I would also like to point out that according to Google, Israel does not have a ballistic missile submarine. So I don't know what the range of their land ballistic missiles are.
Actually, Eric, they do have.
They have submarines, but they're not.
They bought several submarines from the Germans that are capable of firing cruise missiles that could be armed with nuclear warheads. And those range on those is about 1,000 miles. So if they could park off just about anybody's coast going through the Mediterranean in the Western Hemisphere, I don't know if they go through the Suez Canal because I think the Suez Canal is open to navigation as long as there isn't a war. So their submarine, I know for a fact their submarines are in the Persian Gulf because that's a proven fact. And they're in the Mediterranean.
They got submarine launched cruise missile availability. That's similar to like our Tomahawk, which have an impressive range.
Yeah,
and
over 1,000
they're
miles.
navigational. You can control them. You can steer them like a drone, basically.
Yeah,
but they're not.
Here's the thing. We're getting close to time here. Here's what I want to say real quick, and maybe it kind of gets all of this together.
Closing statements. Yeah.
So I watched a flight path thing. It showed all the planes that fly over the region over there, in between Iran and Israel. And then once they started getting ready to launch missiles, you should watch how it shows the map. The radar shows all the planes now. Everybody's flying in a whole different pattern. Everything's moved around that whole area. And I go, because here's what happens. Actions have consequences.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that basically everything that we've talked about has been the fact that if you do something, something else is going to happen. And I don't think it's as easy as we want to make it out to be sometimes. I think there's more to it. And sometimes we got to be able to step back, settle down, and breathe a little bit and go, hey, what will be the consequences of these actions? Because something is going to happen. So with that, Marcus, it is time for you to end out your show for the night.
Yeah,
Eric, I'm going to let Eric get a few words in, and then I'll say a few words and we're out.
Hey, war is bad.
He only needed 3 words.
That's awesome. All I got to say is the quagmire in Iraq cost us trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, and up to 1.5 million Iraqi lives. If you're a Christian and at the heart and in the soul, and if you think that's okay, I feel for you because your soul is not where it needs to be. War is the worst of mankind, and war over nothing is the worst of the worst. And with that being said, on that jolly note,
war is bad.
War is bad.
War is bad.
This has been the Black Powder Podcast. As usual, when we depart, honestly, we wish you all the best. That's why we do this out of our good graces, and I'm the best person here on this podcast. Obviously,
you're the best person there in that garage. Yes,
yeah,
but not
your garage.
But as usual, I wish you all peace, love, and joy. And with that being said, live free or die.
Or die.
Peace.